The road back to ourselves is filled with all kinds of lower emotions. This is why we abandon ourselves. Because we're afraid to feel something. We're afraid to feel the thing we need to feel to remain connected to ourselves. So we escape ourselves into all the things. Today is just a day of walking back to myself, digesting the lower, I don't even want to say lower, but heavier feelings, the less desired feelings from a human perspective of despondency, despair, had just like stuck energy, just feeling the one who's sad, who's been heartbroken, that he's just felt so abandoned. He says, why didn't you just feel me instead of going off into samsara, into the old pattern of escape? He said, I thought we were one. And I felt so separate from you for so long now. And so it's like a backlog of pain that I'm having to feel through right now. Just a backlog of dense feelings and emotions that I've been putting off feeling unconsciously and somewhat consciously. Consciously seeing what was happening, but not having enough consciousness to do anything about it. And realizing that in the moment and just being gentle with myself, being tender with myself, recognizing like the karmic pull of the old pattern was still so strong. And it's like that karmic debt, that's a lot of like what a dark night of the soul is, a healing crisis is. It's like we've been separate from ourselves for so long, and to come back to ourselves, there's like this karmic debt to come back into oneness with God. It's like we have to pay a karmic debt. We have to feel through so many uncomfortable sensations. Wow, it always smells like marijuana here. When I used to live in Las Vegas, I used to smoke weed every day. Weed was a huge catalyst for my kundalini awakening, I believe. And I haven't smoked since, because I had a very traumatizing event with marijuana here. And the traumatizing event was my kundalini woke up and I rushed to the emergency room not having any idea what was going on. And for a long still in my psyche, it's like wired in, like the thing I was doing right before I went to the ER was smoking a joint, you know? And so there's this very fragile and vulnerable part of my brain, of my psyche, that has a fear. So every time I smell marijuana, that part's triggered. It's like, oh, it remembers that event. It's like that memory of that trauma to my system. And so it's interesting how I used to just smoke weed here every day for 4 years ago. And now I don't, but I'm re-meeting a lot of those parts. Every time I get a whiff of the Mary Jane. Yeah, that's what I'm doing today. Just paying that karmic debt of abandoning myself for a while there. Coming back to myself, and I can feel it happening. I can feel those fragmented parts slowly coming back into wholeness. I can feel the energetic knots and blockages slowly liquefying and moving more. Things that help me to come back to myself is just to be with me. That's like the number one thing, is just to be with you. Phone's on airplane mode again today. Yep. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for holding space. I will see you guys on day number 20. Namaste.